What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Aimbot, the weekly podcast dedicated to discussing all things video games. I'm your host, Kaif. Now, I know, again, it's been a while, so I'll be discussing multiple things on this podcast. Primarily, it will be Path of Exile 2 and the new upcoming league, Path of Exile Ultimatum, right? But before I get into that, I need to discuss something else, and it is my YouTube channel. So, in addition to this podcast, which is also hosted on my YouTube channel, I actually started out all this stuff just by posting random videos on YouTube. So, the YouTube channel has gotten tightly integrated with the actual release of games like Path of Exile, right? So every 3 or 4 months there are new leagues in Path of Exile, and after a couple months stuff kind of just dies down, and there's a wait to see the new trailer for the next update or whatever changes are going to be done to the game, because it happens all the time. So there will always be a lull in that period of time, and my channel has recently gotten to just over 1k subscribers, and my watch time is around 4,000 now. So by the end of this week I should be able to apply for monetization. So that's been excellent news for me. I'm really happy for that. A lot of persons, in fact, more persons listen to the podcast on the YouTube channel than they do like Spotify or Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or whatever the case may be, right? So I'm getting a lot of love on the YouTube channel. And for the past couple weeks or so, I've been kind of brainstorming how to now take advantage of the fact that I can be or will be monetized probably in a couple months' time, because once you hit 1k subscribers and then 4k watch hours within a year, you then apply for monetization, and I don't know how long it actually takes for you to actually get monetized. So this month will be the release, in fact in actually a couple days will be the release of the latest Path of Exile league. So I'll be grinding out a lot of Path of Exile. During my downtime, I actually play a lot of Cold War and Modern Warfare and Warzone, stuff like that, Call of Duty basically. But I don't post that stuff on the channel, right? Because my main focus now is growing the channel in the whole ARPG genre. So that is what the channel is focused on, and that is what I like to keep my uploaded content about. So within the next couple of days, more videos will be up on the channel, and it will be just back to Path of Exile primarily for another month or two. So my focus for this upcoming podcast was basically a lot of Path of Exile talk, because it will basically get it will be a good piece of content to put out for my audience, get them talking before I actually start putting out build guides, which is just going over character designs and how you can achieve the most in the game. That's the stuff that I do. So, and that's the stuff, like, apparently that's what people like to hear coming from my channel, right? So that explains a lot. And basically, once I get to episode 10, which is just episode 10, just seems like anything for anybody, but episode 10 will be basically a landmark for me. So will episode 50 and then episode 100. And for episode 10, I actually want to bring back on a guest. I've only had one guest, and at times I don't want it to just be me rambling nonstop, because that can get pretty boring at times. And it's good to have a guest on to banter and get their side of things, instead of me just shoving my opinions down person's throat all the time. Right. So with that stuff all out the way, you can anticipate a regular episode 9, but episode 10, which is whenever, a couple weeks from now, should definitely be something bigger and better and will feature, I guess. I'm not saying it will. So if there is a delay in episode 10 coming out, it's because I'm trying to find the perfect guest to give a quality episode, and that can give me the drive to continue. Um, but yeah, so I do have friends and persons who are willing to come on, but a lot of those friends don't necessarily have like a good quality mic and stuff. So I'll still try and perhaps just live inside something like Audacity, removing the background noise and trying to get a basic mic to sound better, because I still want to maintain a certain quality of the podcast recordings. Or it might be that I have to bring someone to where I record, because the mic that I do that I use can facilitate like two persons and still maintain the quality. All right, so with that all out of the way, I hope everybody has been having a good time here in Jamaica, where I live and where a lot of my friends live. We've been having like a crazy 3-week lockdown because of the whole COVID-19. So it's been a bit shit. You can't really go anywhere on the weekends. Not that I necessarily go anywhere, but I mean, even to drive out to get some fucking food, it's been like impossible, right? So hopefully your couple of weeks has been better than mine, and hopefully everybody is actually staying safe, not just because of the whole COVID shit, but the world has been a pretty violent place recently, especially like crimes against women and crimes against minorities like Black and Asian persons, I guess, in the international scene and here in Jamaica. There's been a lot of violence against women. So please stay safe and just avoid conflicts. If someone wants to argue, just like try to walk away or get yourself out of that situation as best as possible, because it's getting to a point where it's just nonsensical now. Persons are just fighting over the lease. And it doesn't make any sense. So let's get back to a point of civility. We're not cave people. So really and truly, if you're feeling angry or whatever, find something that takes you out of the moment. Find something to make you escape the realities. A lot of us live in harsh realities, and that can be like reading a book, watching a movie, something to put you in a new world, or even playing a fucking video game. That's where video games can help a lot. It doesn't have to be like ultra nerdy stuff. It can be shooters, it can be sports games, it can be whatever. But we all need something to just take us out of reality for some period of time, just to remain sane. Right? So find whatever it is that you need. It can be just a company or somebody else. Some of us have like one person who we just chill out with, and when we're around that one person, we can do or say anything. We can be ourselves, and we're just in a completely relaxed mode. But basically, you need a hobby. You needed something to distract you from the real world, because the real world has been pretty fucked up lately. So on to the meat of the matter. Last week Thursday, I think it was, Grinding Gear Games, that's the developer behind Path of Exile and Path of Exile 2, released not only the latest Path of Exile 2 trailer, but also the reveal for the next league, Path of Exile Ultimatum. So before getting into Ultimatum, because that's what I'll be focusing on for the majority of the couple months going forward in terms of putting out content on the channel, I just have to address Path of Exile 2, because frankly, it looked fucking amazing. And not only that, just how they released it. Like, all the trailers went out on all platforms. So IGN, GameSpot, everything. Not just the trailer, the content reveals, the overviews, everything went out on all major platforms. So the actual Path of Exile 2 trailer has more views on IGN and I think GameSpot than it does the actual Path of Exile YouTube channel. So that's a very good sign. It's exposing the game, which begun as basically an indie game, it's exposing it to the major, wide, mainstream, widespread AAA audience, right? And Path of Exile 2 definitely looks AAA. The difference is huge. It looks like a AAA game compared to an indie title from like 2010. It is staggering how much better this game looks. And I'm talking about the graphics, the PBR, which is like the physical based rendering, how the armor looks and moves, the lighting, stuff like just the health bars, the animations are insane. There are different run animations depending on how fast you are moving, the weight that appears behind it. If you are a gamer, even if you are not interested in Path of Exile, if you like anything remotely similar to even like Diablo, go and check out the Path of Exile 2 trailer. It is amazing. And after the trailer, they released like a demo-ish like footage of Act 2. And it's just all positives, except for there's new feature with the Archer. And apparently the Archer has like three different modes, three different bolts. So like armor piercing, frost bolt, and incendiary bolt. But every fucking time that the character changes, it's like if you watch anime and they call out the skills before they use it. So so you'll be playing and it's just like incendiary bolts, armor piercing bolts, like non-stop frost bolt every single time you change it, and that can get annoying as fuck. So I can definitely see. Well, they will have to. They've heard the feedback by now. Like use a visual display or an indicator or something instead of the fucking anime callouts every single time you change a skill. It was hilarious, and I'm sure there are like a million memes about it already. But besides anime callouts for that one particular weapon, everything looked good. Everything looked good. The weight behind it, it just seems so physical, even in early acts, because Act 2 is an early act. A lot of the times you just feel so weak, and the game would be so kind of slow and boring-ish, which is why I never like replaying the acts. But even in these early acts, there's a sense of weight and power behind your actions and how you string together the combos. There are new items, so like the crossbow and the lance or polar arm or whatever you want to call it, and everything looks good. So there's still no date for the reveal, but Chris, he's the head of GGG, said definitely not this year. So it's looking like either late next year or early 2023. But regardless, it's clear that they're taking their time with it, and it's looking really, really good. And I don't say that lightly. Like the initial trailer looked good, and I was comparing it a lot to Diablo 4. But unless there's some new amazing Diablo 4 content, this last trailer and this last gameplay reveal of Path of Exile 2 utterly and completely blows Diablo 4 out of the water. Like there's no more even comparison when it compares to like the graphics and the animation and just the whole gameplay. It just looks next level. It looks next gen, and I'm hoping that they release it like right across the board, together. So like PC and next gen consoles, mind you, PC, PS5, Xbox Series X or S, at once. And it's a good thing that it's actually coming out, not this year, perhaps later next year or even 2023, because by that time I will surely have a PS5, or if information does come out that it won't be releasing on consoles, I'll also have to get myself a gaming PC, which shouldn't be that difficult compared to like getting a PS5. I can just build one myself. So, all good news for PoE 2, and let's now talk about Path of Exile Ultimatum. So, the league mechanic, it looks interesting. It's basically risk versus reward, where you enter a zone and you kill a bunch of monsters, and you get the option to say, do you want to continue? And the difficulty would be like doubled or whatever, and you'll have the potential to get more rewards, or do you want to just leave with whatever you have now, right? So it is basically like the gameplay equivalent of what's that show? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Yes, it's quite literally that. So you can compete for more money and eventually get to the $1 million, or you can leave with like 250K and be satisfied with that. Now, in this scenario, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be competing for the $1 million every single time, and I'm probably going to be dying a lot until I get like an in-game character, which is like maxed out. So apparently there are like 10 levels that you can get to, and that's where you get the maximum amount of rewards. But again, it looks interesting. Um, I'm just hoping that it's worth it. So, especially at end game stage, where you're investing heavily into something, and for you to not be getting any good reward, it's kind of underwhelming. So, Ritual, which is a league that just finished, was okay, but I realized that Ritual did not scale particularly well. So the rewards that you would get like in early levels, by the time you're doing like the highest tier maps and the highest tier content in the game, you're still getting those fucking shitty ass rewards. And it didn't really seem to scale much at all. So I'm hoping that's not the case with Ultimatum. But aside from that, it looks good. It looks super interesting. And I like league mechanics where it's not necessarily forced upon you. You decide whether you want to participate in it or not, and for how long. Because Ritual could get a bit annoying trying to get like all four, and sometimes the monsters would take a while to spawn. If you're in a map specifically for Ultimatum content, then you're just there to get everything. If not, then you can probably do a couple and then leave it. It's all up to you, and it's all player choice, which is something I really like. But in addition to Ultimatum, right? Wait, before I even move on, like there are actually sections where you can use these Ultimatum pieces in maps, and you can gamble rewards before even starting. So one of the clips they showed was like an exalted orb, which is like currency in the game. It's probably like $100 US bill. You can gamble that before the map starts, and if you beat it, you're almost like guaranteed to double it. So I see a lot of persons making a lot of currency if you have the type of character which can just withstand everything and anything. You can build a strong as fuck character who's tanky, basically takes no damage, and still deals a decent amount of damage, and just double up on rewards non-stop. So I do see this being a league where a lot of persons have the potential to make a lot of currency just by mapping or bossing or whatever it is, taking advantage of Ultimatum. Anyway, in addition to that, they dropped some bombshells. So they have reworked basically everything. So the quality of life in the game now is basically through the roof. So, for example, low life, which is like a state of your life being at a certain level, has been bumped up from like around 35% to 50% now. So a lot of persons will now be playing low life. Val skills have been reworked. Delve has been reworked. So they've been huge loot changes. So in Path of Exile, there are particular items that are very hard to get, like special belts like the Headhunter, and you can only get them a certain way from like finding a bunch of cards or being in very specific maps. But no, loot like that has just been added to the general loot table, which means you can kill literally anything. You can kill a fly on the wall and you can get a Headhunter if you are lucky enough. So stuff like that just gives a whole new level of excitement to the game, because headhunters used to be like the goal of many persons. So in this new 3 weeks of playing Path of Exile, I want to achieve a headhunter. And you can just imagine just getting lucky and actually like winning the lotto in week 2 or so. So it actually brings meaning to the loot. A lot of times playing maps and just without like trying to stack a bunch of stuff together, just randomly playing a map would generally not be rewarding. So Path of Exile is underwhelming for a lot of persons because they don't feel like they're being rewarding for just playing the game, especially if you're more of a casual. Changes like this help to spice things up and makes the game more rewarding for everything. Also, they've made changes to everything, but there are no deterministic lab enchants. So labs, you can go now and determine whether you want to enchant a helmet or gloves. You can see the actual enchants that you will be getting, and that just that is a huge change for persons who want to run labs and sell specific content or run labs for yourself. I mean, it can mean that lab carries will now be more profitable. So, what do I mean by that? A lot of persons are weak and can't do labs or just hate doing labs, but you'll have characters specifically built around running labs. I'll just carry you through the lab. You'll pay me some money and you'll get to use all your enchants or whatever the case may be. And then you have persons who just run labs and just enchant random helmets to sell them. So it might be that regular lab runners, it can either mean like way more money for them, or it can actually mean way less money if persons decide that they'll just run the labs themselves because now they can see exactly what they're getting. But persons who do lab carries should result in a lot more money for them because there'll be more persons wanting to do a lab now. And offering to the goddess can now be using a map device. That's insane. That's insane. So labs, complete positives. Breach blessings can now be used to upgrade breach stones. Again, huge positive. Can trade stuff like Alva temples. They're better drops in like moderate and early delving, but like the deeper you go in delves, you will not necessarily be getting as many rewards. So a nerf to deep delvers, but a buff to persons who like casually delve. You can now even anoint corrupted items. I won't go into the specifics of everything, but there has just been so many changes. And even going into the patch notes, which the patch notes were released like yesterday. Again, it details a lot of the other changes. But while we're on the topic of the patch notes, they've made all these great changes to the games, but they've nerfed. And when I say nerf, for those who don't know, it means like making stuff worse. They've nerfed a ton of characters and abilities. So I had some stuff in mind which just got obliterated now. So I'll be doing a lot of tinkering around to try and find what build to start out the league with in a couple of days. Well, it's a couple of days on PC, but I play on console, so I think it is either the 20th or the 21st. So I have like a week to try and figure something out and to put out my very first build guide, because I want my very first build guide for this league to be something really, really attractive for everyone. So I won't get into the details of the patch notes. For those of you who play, the patch notes are now out. You can go on the website, pathofexile.com, and you can read the patch notes for yourself in detail. And aside from that, there's like every fucking Path of Exile YouTuber is just reading over the patch notes for you. So you can just type in Path of Exile patch notes in YouTube and you'll get it read to you and you'll hear their opinions of it. So it's pretty much good news for Path of Exile. And that was a primary topic of discussion for the podcast. However, there are a few other things I want to talk about. One is the state of Call of Duty Warzone. It is boring as fuck now. The meta is pretty shitty. I do not think that... I think it's Raven Software now, or Activision still. Not sure. Whoever is responsible for the game now, I don't think they realize how much the Cold War weapons have been detrimental to the game. So what keeps what helps keep a battle royale alive and maintain its identity is the time to kill it, right? What do I mean by that? For example, Apex Legends, the time that it takes you to kill an opponent is relatively long compared to other battle royales because the person can move a lot more freely than any other battle royales. They have defensive stuff that they can trigger. There's less overall aim assist in that game as well. So battles between competitors last a longer time when it's more of a chess match. And persons who play, I mean, I used to play Apex, but I don't really play Apex much anymore because I don't like magic interfering with gunfights. But persons who play, they understand it for what it is, and that's what they love about it. Now, when Call of Duty Warzone just started, right, the time to kill was not as high as Apex, but it was not as short as like regular Call of Duty multiplayer where you run around a corner and you get 2 shots and you're dead. So it would be pretty respectable. You'd have a couple seconds to dodge some bullets, get behind cover and stuff, which kept it fun for everyone. So you weren't instantly dead if you were exposed, unless you were sniped, which is fair because you're using a sniper rifle. You have to be skilled at that. Usually the scopes give off glints, so persons know when there's a sniper around, and it's annoying, but it is fair. Nowadays, every single meta gun from Cold War kills you in like 2 shots. Like it is literally like everybody's running around with snipers, but at point blank range. So the guns kill you so fast that even if you have maximum amount of armor, it is infuriating. If you get caught, or even if your head is peeking out from behind cover, you are pretty much dead instantly. And I cannot stress how annoying that is. It is insanely annoying. And it has changed the feeling of the game completely. So it now feels like you're actually playing Call of Duty, regular Call of Duty multiplayer, but you've been running around for fucking ages trying to gather loot and getting your loadout and stuff like that, only to die in like 2 seconds. Now, if you compare somebody's KD back even like 6 months after the game released, right? Because in 6 months, persons will have a general idea and persons will be good at the game. You already identify who is good and who is like shitty, right? But compare the KDs 6 months ago to the average KD now, it has dropped significantly because it's so random now. Somebody can just pick up a gun that kills you in 2 shots and beam you from halfway across the map, and you have no chance. There's no chance to retaliate. There's no chance to turn around and to fire or anything like that. It's largely a shit show, and if you are not like stuck together with your team, it's really difficult and annoying to get wins. And there are like some perks that can, once you get the perk, you can literally see the entirety of the map where the circle is going to close and all that stuff. There are a lot of things that have been added to the game that basically has ruined the overall experience. And I'm hoping with the update, with the new map, apparently it's the same fucking map, just in a different time zone. So hopefully that isn't too shit. Yeah, so hopefully at the end of the day, whenever they release this new piece of content, it's actually something good that can, because I would hate to see this game die. Outside of Path of Exile, Warzone is what I play the most. I enjoy it. I've even bought a couple of packs, and I support the developers, even though it is a free game, essentially, sorry. So hopefully Call of Duty can get back on track, or if not, I'm really hoping that Battlefield 6 comes out with a battle royale, because if Battlefield 6 has a battle royale, even like a free to play battle royale, something that's not tied into the whole yearly entry, it's fuck you Warzone, and it's onto that. But that's been it for me. Uh, like I said before, I hope you guys have been enjoying yourself. And if you have not, hopefully, hopefully you can put something in place where you're seeing better days, because we all need that sense of relaxation, particularly now when everybody is cooped up and you're working harder than before, because businesses have taken advantage of COVID-19 to do mass redundancies and cut staff, and you're doing like 100% more work and all that shit. Hopefully you still find time for yourself and your family and just to enjoy yourself. So chill out, guys, keep playing games, enjoy yourselves, and have fun. That's it from me. Later.